I've got down a small holding today, quite early, not as early as I probably should have done, but quite early to harvest stinging nettles. So today I'm going to make some fermented plant juice, FPJ as they call it. I've been making my own plant fertilizers for the last few years now, just using stinging nettles and using comfrey. What I normally do is I've got a couple of old dustbins and I just fill them with nettles for a more sort of nitrogen feed, and then the comfrey has more potassium in it for flowering and fruiting and things like that. So I usually fill the bucket, the big dustbins full, top it up with water, put a sheet of ply or something over the top, and just leave it to steep for like a month before I start using it. And then I'll just get a jug and I'd put about a litre per 10 litres as a plant feed. You know, it's done all right. But this year I bought a book. So I bought this book. It's the Regenerative Grower's Guide to Garden Amendments. I haven't read the whole book yet, but I've had a good flick, and it's just really interesting. It's all about making your own plant fertilizers and amendments, using plant material and fermenting it, but it also covers making vinegars and vinegar extractions of various things to get minerals and things out of plants in a form that plants can use. So basically today I'm doing the most basic one. I'm going to harvest stinging nettles. So, you know, we're sort of just coming up mid-April, so they're all fairly small now. Any patch of land is going to have stinging nettles, and I've got quite a few areas where loads of stinging nettles are coming up. Around my little pond, in my little shaded area over there, is where they seem to be the most vigorous. The ground's quite moist there and quite rich, and they seem to be the most vigorous there, so that's where I'm going to harvest them from. So today I'm going to make some nettles, just in I've got a 3 litre kilner jar. So the idea is you pick your nettles and you crush them up and you mix them with organic brown sugar. Now I couldn't get any organic sugar. I tried 3 health food shops, I tried all the big stores. All I could find was unrefined, natural brown cane sugar. So that's what I've got. I couldn't find any organic anywhere, even in an organic shop that I went to. Couldn't find it. So unrefined, natural, dark cane sugar is what I could find, and that's what I'm going to use. So you mix that. It depends on the moisture level with it. Like I say, if you get this book, it's a good book to get. It does cover quantities and all that sort of thing, but you know, the nettles are sort of, they're not full of moisture. So, but I think I'm just going to do it 1-to-1 is what people online on videos I watch seem to do. So I'm going to do it 1-to-1 and see how it turns out. I'm going to do nettles first, and then over the next few weeks I'll probably do a couple of batches of nettles, just so I can get a good stack for the year. And then I'm going to do some comfrey at another time afterwards to get a couple of different types of plant FPJ to feed my plants with. So this is a new thing for me. Like a lot of the videos I'm doing, haven't done this before, but going to give it a go and see how it goes. So obviously nettles, they're stinging nettles, so a pair of gloves, and I've just got an old basket here. I'll go and fill this up, and then I'll come back and we'll get mixing. So this is the area just next to my little pond there, and all the silver birch in here. This is always absolutely stacked full of nettles. As you can see, it's pretty much nothing but nettles in here, and they seem to be some of the most dark green, rich looking nettles on the holding. They really seem to love it here. So this is where I'm going to harvest them from. So obviously wear your gloves because they will sting, and just get the whole stem. I'll bring it down here. Just pick the whole, we use everything, the leaf and the stem, but this sort of size, it's all quite soft, so it's nice and easy. Just picks really easy, just picks straight off like that. So just the tips. I think the tips are where most of the hormones and things, growth hormones and all that sort of stuff for these plants are. They're the richest in the sort of growth producing stuff. So even if you're harvesting bigger stuff, take the tips, probably the first sort of 6 or 8 inches if they were taller nettles. But yeah, let's get this basket full.
Right, so I've got a basket full. I've picked as many as I could and I've rammed them in there, so that's quite like a solid basket full, because I think they're going to break down quite a bit as I mash them up. So, in a way, equal amounts. What I'm going to do, when you finish this, what a lot of people do is put a stone on top, some sort of weight on top. I haven't got a stone or any way of sterilising it down here. So what I'm going to do, I've seen other people do, is I'm going to hold a little bit of the sugar back, and when I've got it packed in there, I'll just put a cap of sugar, sort of ½ inch or something like that. So I'll do it a bit less than 1 to 1, and I'll use the extra as a cap of sugar on top. So I'm just going to weigh these out. Best scales in the world. I just wanted to make sure I had enough nettles, because I wasn't sure how little it would make once they're broken down, squashed up. That's 200 grams. Let's put 200 grams of sugar in. I also learned that my gloves aren't sting proof. My right hand now is completely tingling because I've been stung all over it. So that's 200 grams. I'm going to go to 180, save 20 grams back on each mix that I can put towards doing a cap at the end. And what I'm going to do is just squish this all together, mix it up. Perhaps done with a bigger mixing bowl, but right, so that's all done. What I'm going to do, I've got a couple of bits of tissue here. I'm just going to give a wipe around the rim with some vinegar, some white vinegar. Just to sort of keep everything, it doesn't need to be perfectly sterile. The jar was just washed in hot soapy water beforehand. Just to stop anything from going, any nasties from going. So what I did is I did a bit less than 1 to 1. So the idea being, I can now use the last sort of 80 grams of sugar as a cap on the top. Like I say, you can use a stone. People will boil a stone and put that as a weight on top. You could use an empty jam jar with some water in it if it fitted in the entrance there. Put some water in it as a weight, and it's just to keep that sort of a bit of pressure on the plant material, and as it starts to form the juices, to sort of keep it below the juices there. that should do. Now what I'm going to do, this doesn't want to be or need to be airtight. So I've got to kiln the jar. I'm not going to shut it and lock it shut with the rubber seal on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the seal off. I'm just going to put a piece of kitchen paper over the top. And I'm just going to shut it down onto that and lock it. So that isn't airtight. There's movement in the lid. But it's just stopping any bugs from getting in there, any nasties. So there we go. The first jar of FPJ, fermented plant juice, stinger nettle tops. So I'll come back in about a week when I think it's done. And what I'll do then is I'll strain it off. I've got an old fuel funnel that I've never actually used, so it doesn't even, just needs a bit of a wash. It's not got any sort of chemical residues on it. And I'll just strain that into a clean container, little bottle or something, glass preferably, and it will keep, and it's shelf stable at sort of cooler room temperatures, and I'll get straight on and do another batch, and I'll get a nice jar of that, and then I'll get on to the company and make a good few batches of that as well. And you can dilute this, like I say, if you get this book, it tells you all about the dilution rates and that. You're looking at sort of 1 to 500, 1 to 1,000, something like that. So it makes, it goes a long way. It may not look like a lot. I don't know how much liquid I'm going to get out of here. It's a 3 litre jar. If I've got a litre, that in theory makes 1,000 litres at that sort of rate of dilution. So, a little goes a long way with this. And it's in a form that the plants can use. So hopefully it's the way forward, I think, for me. I'm going to be doing this every year, I think.
So it's been exactly a week since I did the nettles, the fermented plant juice with the nettles and the brown sugar. I've strained it out. I just used an old fuel funnel, which has got a filter in there, fine mesh filter. And it actually fits perfectly on there. That take the lid off and that pops straight on there. And I've just inverted it over an old sauce jar. So this is what's left, just the plant material in there. Now that it's settled, there is actually a tiny bit more juice in the bottom there, but I left it inverted for about 4 or 5 hours this afternoon, and I got that much juice out of it. So this is, I think, a 450ml jar. So it's about 350ml, something like that. I really wasn't sure how much I was going to get. I perhaps hoped for a bit more than that, but that's pretty good considering you can dilute it so much. So I think I'm probably going to do another batch of nettles, and then I'm going to give it a go with a comfrey. I think with a comfrey I'll probably get more juice because the leaves are just more moist and sort of fleshy. But this stuff, I'm not going to waste it. This is going to go on the compost heap. Added to that, and I'm going to put a label on this with a date, what it is, and when it was made. And look at that, black gold. Looks like really thick black coffee. Awesome, and it doesn't smell. It really doesn't smell. It's got a really, it's hard to explain. It almost smells good enough to drink. It's like sort of a slightly off fruity sort of smell. But yeah, not bad at all. So it'd be interesting to see how this works. But yeah, give it a go. Give it a go because it's definitely worth doing. And it's so easy. That's 1 week. You can use any container. It doesn't have to have a lid or anything like that. Just a glass container, and just give it a go. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys, and we'll see you next time. Take it easy.